Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to cover a topic which has probably popped up quite a few times throughout filming for my YouTube and has been on my Instagram, but I've not really gone into a lot of depth on it, and that is the topic of PMDD, which has been affecting me for a very, very long time now, maybe since it kind of got diagnosed around 2020, but I've definitely suffered with it for years before that. So this is going to be like a part 1 and a part 2 series. The next part, I'm going to be having a doctor on here to explain like in depth what PMDD actually is. So I'm only going to give you a little bit of a brief on kind of what it is so you can get a little bit of an understanding, but I'm going to talk more about my symptoms and how it affects my day-to-day life. So PMDD is similar to PMS, but it lasts for a lot longer. So PMS is obviously what we get on the week before we come on our cycle, where, you know, our moods change and we feel a bit different to how we feel just from day to day. So PMDD presents itself in the weeks leading to menstruation. So normally you would have your average PMS, which is in the end of the luteal phase, which is the end of your cycle, which leads up to the beginning of your cycle, so when you actually start to bleed. But this PMDD lasts me for literally like 2.5 weeks, and it is so grueling. So if you could think of, you know, your normal PMS symptoms, and I would just say times them by 10, because it's just that bad. Like, it hits me from day 14 of my cycles. That's when I notice it, literally around the time when I ovulate. So that's when your egg is like produced, at the middle kind of point of your cycle. So like around day 14, I literally notice a change in myself. My ovaries start to hurt. My body temperature increases. I start to get nightmares. I have headaches. My mood changes. I'm not necessarily like snappy or in a bad mood. I'm not. It's more that I'm really like down, really, really fatigued, really, really tired. And it's really hard to just do like average everyday things. Usually this ends for me. So it starts at day 14 and usually ends on like day 3 of my new cycle. So our cycle, we have like 28 to 30 day cycle. So your cycle starts at day 1. That's when you bleed. And then by obviously like day 5 to 7 is when that stops. And I start to feel better about day 3 to day 4. And then I've literally got until about day 12 to 14 until the ovulation process starts. And then it's pretty much a downward spiral from there, right up until day 28 to day 30, depending on when I come on again. And then, like I say, by day 1 to 3 is when I start to feel normal. So that is a very long period of time that I'm feeling like these symptoms for. One of the worst things for me is like the fatigue that comes with it. Like, I have to really, really force myself just to try and stick to my daily routine. That is something that is locked in for me all the time, and is like, you know, it's become a bit of a habit. But I do find that when like this strikes, as you would say, like it's easy for me just to stop. It's just easy for me just to stop and not do my routine and not stay like locked in. Training gets really, really hard for that length of time as well. It's just very up and down. So I'm always sitting there thinking, like, as much as I've progressed, like how much more could I have progressed if I didn't have this? I think to like the average person, it may sound like I'm being lazy, because literally I'll wake up, like today I've literally woken up, I've got my first block of work done, which was extremely hard, and it's really hard to stay focused, and I just feel like brain fog and just literally just not me. But I get through my first bit of work from 5 a.m. and then I literally have to go back to sleep at like 8 a.m. The only thing that's really driving me is because I go into a bit of a like self-sabotage where I could easily just not do a thing, like simple things like take my supplements or cook meals. I would say that Mark is like a massive like driving force behind me even doing stuff for like me, because I like to do a lot for like us, and I like to do a lot for him in respect of, you know, like I like to get all of his meals ready and make sure that like he's having them on time, and as much as like he does, if I let him, it's more of a like if I let him, like I just, this is just me, this is the way I am. I like to get everything prepared, and it's just a big part of like what I do for him. So when it gets to a point of this, like I have to stay really locked in to like remembering that if I don't do these things, like his goal is like, how do I word it? Not going to be met, which of course it would, because he would just do it himself. But I try and see it as like my job, because it drives me to do it for him, which is so strange, because you're like, well, why would you not drive to do things for yourself? But I can't really explain it, but he helps a lot in the fact that like I will just try and get things done based on like him. If I was to go like back when I first got like diagnosed with this, or before I got diagnosed with this, I thought I was literally crazy. I thought I had something like severely wrong with myself mentally. It wasn't like dependent on like anything going on in my life. Like things were great, and like, you know, life's great, and then it just literally feels, you get this heavy feeling like the worst thing has happened, like almost like someone has died. Like it literally makes you feel that bad and that upset and that much that you want to cry and not do things and just hide away. And like some days I wake up and I literally lay there and just think like, I can't get rid of this anxiety. Like, what am I going to do? How can I drag myself through like this day? Because it really does get like that. And it's really hard to sit here and talk about it, to be fair, because there's so much to remember. And I think like whenever I have spoken about it, it's been, I can never get it across like properly of like how destroying it can kind of be. Oh, I just dropped the coffee. What did I say? So yeah, it's really hard to kind of get across how like severe and how it can be. And I think like many people like don't understand it. I always feel like almost sorry for my coach, because if like I'm the kind of person, as you guys know, that I will tick like every box and tick it well and like stay in my routine, and it's almost like this like different person just like appears, and then that kind of stuff that is just so habitual and has got me to where I am today, like is, it just kind of wants, I just kind of don't want to do it, and I just want to stop. Yeah, I feel like it must be really hard for my coach to understand. And like today, for example, I messaged her and just said like, I feel absolutely slammed, don't know how I'm going to train, it's going to be like another bad session. And like I do go into like a really negative mindset, and she says, come on, like you've had a nap and good hours sleep, you must have the energy now to like go. I don't, it's just not there. And then I have a shower, get fatigued again, and go to sleep. I have a coffee like I just have, and I get like energy like anyone does, but then shortly after that it fades and I almost have like a come down. So in this part I try and sort of stay away from caffeine as well, because it's almost like fake energy, and then if I end up doing more, I end up like even more slammed. I had people say to me like PMDD is not a thing, like you can't diagnose it, and this is the thing, you can't through like blood work. So what it is basically, in kind of simple terms, is where my brain can't like handle the fluctuations in my like hormones. So it can't handle like the peaks and troughs, and it's actually classed as a brain disorder. So it's very similar to endometriosis, or so I've heard, in the fact that a lot of the symptoms are very similar, but one is to do with like your actual like ovaries, and one is more of a brain disorder. So I think it can sometimes be misunderstood, like whether people have got endometriosis or if they have PMDD or if they have both. I have a friend who also has this, and I met up with her yesterday. she actually used to be a client of mine, and I kind of diagnosed her in a way and said, like, I really do think you've got this. So she went to her doctors and went through like some of the tests and had to like write notes on it, and sort of regulate when like her sort of pattern, because you do notice like a massive pattern. And she said to me yesterday, like, I literally do not know how you bodybuild. And it kind of really got me thinking, and like I was sat on the sofa speaking to Mark about it last night, and like I thought it is actually like a pretty big thing, because there are so many fluxes and so many points that I feel like I can't, like, I'm actually proud that I have managed to drag myself to like this point, because when I say I need to do like the bare minimal, I really mean it. So it's crazy to think that I can drag myself through it, because like my friend said, she literally wants to hide away, and that's it. She wants to hide away. She feels down, she feels anxious, she feels stressed, she has no energy. She said to me, like, I don't know how you do it. So it does make me feel quite proud that I'm able to push myself, but also makes me feel pretty guilty as well sometimes, because 2 weeks ago I had a deload. I came back to the gym, and I got into a downward spiral again of like where my body literally is just so fatigued. So I haven't had a good session since like before my deload. Doesn't make me feel good, because I'm trying. The fact is that I do know that I have got this far from trying. So it is kind of like motivation just to do whatever my best is on that day, and not just do what I could have done today and like not gone. Like, I am determined still go to the gym today after this and get it done. But like I said to my coach, it will be a case of literally getting it done. So that may mean that I get there and just do one set. I just feel like I'm in this place of where I'm literally constantly pulling back and trying to push forward, pulling back and trying to push forward. And some months are great. Like last month, I only really had one to 2 days which were actually really down, and I was really surprised. Whereas this month, it's almost like it has completely slammed me, and I just don't want to get out of bed, and I don't want to like do things. It's my birthday this weekend. My friends messaged me and said, like, I want to take you somewhere on Friday, and I'm like, I kind of can't think of anything worse, because I just can't be bothered to do anything and have to almost pretend like to be me. And that's one thing that I find really, really hard, is that I have to pretend to be me. And that's why you may notice at points like I can go days now without posting on social media, because like as much as I could talk about this, I don't want to be seen as that person that's just always like down and like negative. But how can I write like positive stuff across social media when like I'm not feeling it? So I do start prep in, when this video comes out, I think it will be like 4 weeks time, so like 5 weeks at the moment. And I really want to have a good run at things. So I really want training to be as great as it was like for the previous 5 weeks before the deload. So obviously I'm going to try, and I'm going to turn up and just keep trying. Sleep is really important, and I do my best to nail that. Like last night I got 7.5 hours. I've had an hour's nap today, then I had another 40-minute nap today. So I'm trying my best to stay like rested. It's been really hard from that perspective, like I say, because it's a weird one. Like it actually starts to get a little bit better on prep, so I kind of look forward to that. But that's only because I lose my cycle. I still get the symptoms like quite strongly. At the moment, I'm using an SSRI called fluoxetine, and I have had, the doctors try and up my dosages of that, but it's something that I'm not prepared to do, because I just don't want to be reliant on that. So we are looking at some options, and I have decided on an option of HRT, which can be really, really hit and miss. It can either help or not, but we are going to give that a go. I'm literally waiting for things to arrive. And then I guess by the time I film again for part 2, I'll be doing this with the doctor who is the person that I'm going backwards and forwards with, who is suggesting things to me, who specialises in this. I've done all my contest preps before whilst obviously having this, and I've always come in and it's always been okay, but it definitely is always harder at those times. So I'm hoping that doing having like using the HRT might just make those symptoms less, but we shall see. Only apparently real ways to kind of get rid of this is actually to have a full hysterectomy, which obviously is something that I do not want to do because I do want to have children. But I can see why people consider it, because it is that damaging. And I think it's almost like really disheartening that like there's not actually anything that can like get rid of it. It's only to kind of help it. So I think that can be really, really disheartening, to be honest. But again, like you just got to try and see the positives and, you know, just try and ride on the positives and think like it could, you know, there's always something out there that could be worse. With regards to business, I actually let this affect business in respect of I always manage my online clients. They are literally bodybuilding, and my online clients are absolute priority. Like I will always get them done regardless. And I think it helps literally getting them done straight away, first thing in the morning. Like I'm good when I know people are like depending on me, like Mark, like my online clients, like think like I don't want to mess up for people. I can like really pull it together and like get on with it, and like I don't want to disappoint people. But I think when it comes to like more myself, that's when I start to like, you know, almost like self-sabotage. But with Pretty Strong, which I often get lots of people asking about, am I relaunching, am I like bringing stuff out again, am I going to continue to build the business? I actually said no to doing this for a while, and I had a really good like opportunity with Pretty Strong and turned it down. It's not until literally recently I thought like I can't let this thing control me. Like I need to try and control it in the best way I can. So I have started the process of relaunching Pretty Strong, which is exciting. But again, when you have a day where you can only do the bare minimal, like it is really, really hard to actually find it within me to be able to do the stuff that's required to obviously set up this business and to keep it going. But luckily I have like a good support system and team around me to enable me to move forward with that, and it is happening. So yeah, this is one thing that I'm really trying to focus as well, because I believe obviously I am more than a bodybuilder and I've always been able to manage so many things. It's not until the last few years that this has really gotten worse. So I really want to try and obviously build a business for, you know, the time when comes when I can't bodybuild or, you know, something like that. There's always good to have different like avenues. And I think this is massive to me. As soon as this drop comes out, I'm going to be so proud because I've toyed with this for ages. Have I got enough like strength to do it from day to day? And now I've just invested like a lot into it. I've got no choice now. And yeah, so that's exciting. Everything's been going like okay, like I say, like I have been ticking every box. I've still been eating all the meals, even though my appetite completely goes when I have got this, because you know what it's like. If you've got anxiety, it's hard to eat. So some of my meals, I've literally just had to have like whey and rice flour and just blend it to get it in. I'm going to continue to just try and obviously tick every single box and just get on with it. And just try and lean on the people around me instead of shut myself away, because that is what I seem to do. And I do, I have so much, like, I'm so like grateful in the way that, you know, Mark supports this as well, like supports me with this and what I have, and doesn't take it like personally, and is always there to just like try and pick me up and push me on. He says he can't understand it, like obviously because he doesn't have those feelings, but he's never made me feel like bad for just shutting myself away or, you know, not being in like a happy chirpy mood. And like himself, he'll say like it's like I'm a completely different person, but like I say, I'm not like moody or horrible. So I try. I just try. Maybe I'll get him on the next one as well, just to give like a bit of an insight. Every time I have spoken about this, I've always had a lot of people say to me like, have you tried X, Y, and Z and done this, that, and the other? And there's so many things I have tried, and sometimes I don't get back to people when they do recommend these things because I find it quite overwhelming, and it can be quite hard. And that's why often I don't talk about it, because I'm at a point, I can only talk about it when I'm like in the moment of it, because it's like part of PMDD stands for dysphoric, and that's like, I've had times when, for example, I've literally felt suicidal. It was after I broke my foot. I remember just looking out of a window and being like, I don't even want to be here. Like, I don't even want to be here. Like, I was on my own down south, and I literally like felt like that. But then as soon as, like, you know, I come on my cycle and I like almost snap out of this, I'm like, what the, like, who the hell is that? Like, I'm a completely different person. So yeah, that's pretty much like a lot of my symptoms. So yeah, just ovary pain, headaches, extreme fatigue, really bad nightmares, like of people dying. I don't know why. I have dreams all the time, like nightmares where I'll just wake up. My sleep will be really, really disturbed as well. I won't be able to like get to sleep, and I will wake up. Anxiety, that's huge. Yeah, and it's just not very nice. So and it lasts me for 2.5 to 3 weeks. Some people only experience it for like a week, and it's really, really hard to diagnose. So if you're someone like sitting here now thinking this sounds like me, like definitely get in touch with your doctors. Make a note of when you start to like experience symptoms. Like for me, my aura ring temperature will literally spike around day 14 when I am like ovulating. My temperature will literally go up, my body weight will go up, and things like that. So just start to write a diary so you have some proof of like what's going on, and that it happens each time, each month, and things like that. And just don't stop like trying and speaking to the right people. In the next video, I'm sure the person that's helped me the most, who I'm not going to mention now, but I'm sure they will be very open to like talking to more people who think they do have this. But it has been a long journey of finding out whether I do have this, and it's apparently something the doctors don't always kind of take so seriously. So just make sure that you are, you know, persevering with it to get your answers, because that is, at the end of the day, it's so important. And I know from social media and what I have posted is that people can be in a really bad way, like I am, with this as well. And like family don't always support and understand. So I know that it can be really hard. So yeah, that's a long YouTube with a lot of information and probably a lot of going backwards and forwards, but I just kind of wanted to get everything out of like how it does make me feel. And yeah, hopefully I've not forgotten anything. But again, this is a part 1, part 2. So anything I have missed, then I'm sure you'll hear about it in part 2, where we will be explaining more in depth, like the whys, and like how it can be managed. Thanks again for watching. This is a bit of a different video. I was going to say it's been fun to talk about, but yeah, it is what it is. Thank you always for your support. If you have any questions, please just drop them in the comment section below. And please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'll catch you guys soon.